Wallace is still here with us, and joining us now is Michelle Williams, who is the Executive Director of the Cultural Council of Santa Cruz County. Welcome, Michelle.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Now, how long have you been there at the Cultural Council?
I started in mid-October, so just a few months.
Okay, and how's it going?
It's fantastic.
And what on earth made you want to take over? And where did you come from, and who are you, and what are your qualifications?
Okay, where to begin? I moved here from Napa Valley, and in Napa I had been the Executive Director of the Arts Council up there for 5.5 years. And I was actually at a conference in Seattle when I heard that Alberto was going to be leaving, and I was at a conference with a lot of fellow other executive directors of arts organizations from across the country, and a few people suggested that I throw my name in the hat, and I wasn't thinking about looking for work. I loved my job, but I've always loved Santa Cruz. I lived in Los Angeles briefly, and we used to road trip up here in high school, even though it was a 7-hour drive. And then living in Napa, I came down here a few times, went to shows at the Rio Theater and such, and just sort of started embracing that maybe it was time for a change. And after coming down here and meeting the staff and meeting the board and spending a couple weekends down here, there's nothing I wanted more than to live here and to be here. So I feel really fortunate, really grateful.
What has impressed you, and when I say impressed, I mean really made an impression about the arts or the culture, because you're with the Cultural Council in Santa Cruz? What is your impression initially?
My initial impression is actually one of the things that drove me to come here, which is the diversity, the richness, the support, that this community really gets it. And I think there's a lot of places in California where that's not true. I've long said that working in the arts in California is pushing a massive boulder uphill, but here, like, the incline seems to be not quite as steep, and there's a lot more people behind the boulder.
So it's like pushing a smaller boulder.
It's a smaller boulder with like an army, because it's still tough. I mean, we're still last in the nation for arts funding. We're pathetic in this state about taking care of arts education and the arts, and so it's tough work anywhere. But Santa Cruz, there's a will here, and that's what I want to sink my teeth into.
I always consider the arts in Santa Cruz more like rolling a pumpkin down Miramar Drive.
Very nice.
Lovely.
What about the hip quotient? Where is Santa Cruz next to Napa in the hipster quotient?
Oh, my friends in Napa will not think kindly of me.
That's why I asked.
I'm sorry?
Is there a Napa next?
No. That was another element of me wanting to come here, is that there's not a lot of visibility for people in my generation in Napa Valley, and there's also not a lot of mixing of, just the different. Some people that I've met since coming here have strong feelings about the fact that there is so much color in Santa Cruz, but I love it. Before Napa, well, before Napa, I lived in New York City, and so every day I was on the subway with 15 different nationalities, and you hear 3 different languages at least. And I think there's something important about being part of that every day. Right. And I never felt that way in Napa.
Are you telling me you feel that way in Santa Cruz?
Comparatively, yes.
We have the most ethnically diverse group of white people in the state
that I've ever encountered.
Seriously? I mean, we do.
The ratio of people talking to themselves on the street, though, is way high. So,
and if gibberish is a language, yeah, there's a lot of bilinguals in this town.
I think they're just high tech. I think it is the one-person ambulatory conversation capital of the world. But really, they're not talking to themselves. They just have really good Bluetooth devices, and they're talking to each other people are talking to people in Manhattan, right here on Pacific Avenue. I'm convinced.
Well, then let me jump in here, because it's not, if you just look at the arts that we have, they are incredibly diverse. It's not all white people who are 60 making art here. Right. It is everything you can imagine. All different kinds of people, of all different ages making art here, and that's what I find so compelling.
White people of 40, 50, 30, 20.
Well,
you're just going to fight me on this, aren't you?
It's diverse.
Well, I'll come to your defense here.
Thank you.
If you took like a hat and put in little slips of paper about like musical subgenres in there, you could pull them out and go, Hawaiian, huge subculture here. Reggae, huge. That's what it is. There are subcultures galore.
You're right. There is a lot of homophobic reggae around here.
No,
there's that too.
I mean, the music. I mean, you touch on music, and it is. I mean, the contemporary music. The contemporary classical, the chamber music. It is incredibly diverse and incredibly rich, and I think that could be said of a lot of genres of arts. One of the things I wanted to throw out, just a question, I guess, since you're both here and you guys know a lot, and I thought I'd ask you guys.
I don't know a lot.
We just witnessed the Nexties, the Gale Rich Awards. We're very good at acknowledging our artists, acknowledging people who are doing good, and it's creativity. I mean, you spoke to it last night about the idea of people doing their thing. Do you guys feel, and I'll just throw this out, do you feel there is sufficient critical dialogue in Santa Cruz for people who are doing their thing, who need direction or need creative criticism, right?
Ooh,
does that make sense?
Are you like angling for the job here?
No, I'm not.
Oh, I see.
No, but no, it's a sincere question. I mean, I think there are a lot of ways that we reward our creative community, and it's very encouraged here. So my question is, we don't, like, the Sentinel doesn't do reviews. I mean, Ann Bennett's been doing theater reviews, but there's not a lot of reviews of music.
Yeah.
You talk about the great music scene, and
And didn't Ann Bennett just retire? Is she not going to be doing?
Ann Bennett, for health reasons, is going to be
Won't
retiring.
be reviewing anymore.
That's true.
So is there value in that? Do you think that's met here? What's your experience in Napa or New York? There's an incredible critical dialogue in the community, I presume. I've never been to New York. It's on the East Coast, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I think there is something lacking in that in terms of people. Are you talking about critics in terms of quality control, this is good, that's not kind of thing?
Constructive criticism.
Not even a value necessarily as a context.
Yes, right. Well, I think you're right. There is a hole in this community in terms from where I stand about that kind of thing. For instance, if you were to say, I want to have a dance critic, those people don't fall out of trees. I mean,
right.
You have to be a good writer, you have to know a lot about the dance, and you have to be unconnected to the dance community around here.
Enough to be able
Find
to be
those three people, those three qualities in one person. Really?
I'm unconnected to everybody.
No, but
you're absolutely right. And I think that's part of the issue in Santa Cruz is a lot of people, I mean, you gave me an anecdote earlier this evening about someone who, I forget who it was, but who said essentially, no, we don't review local theater or local performance art because we don't want to hurt anybody's feelings. Santa Cruz is such a relatively small community and so many people know everybody else that I think even people who are in the journalistic endeavors are unwilling to be sometimes brutally honest with what's put out there in performance art, in visual art, because you're going to run into that person tomorrow on Pacific Avenue.
That's exactly right.
And so does that leave a void in terms of critical dialogue in Santa Cruz? I think that's what Chip's getting at.
I think that's exactly right, yes. I think that's exactly right. I mean, you can't really expect a town with its population base to have that many people who are able to be very smart about a particular art but not be involved in it enough and be brutally honest about things.
I guess my question is larger than what we're talking about. The questions that I think need to be asked are not is this good or bad?
Right.
I think there's a much broader conversation that needs to go on, not just in California, but in the state and perhaps the world, about our changing demographics, which California is changing at a pace we can barely keep up with. And what kind of arts speak to our new audiences? What kind of arts speak to the different sorts of people who are now calling Santa Cruz home? And so I guess I'm more interested in, I run a 31-year-old arts organization. It's an incredible organization. I'm very proud to do it. We run the Open Studios Tour. It's been wildly successful. This is its 25th year. And thankfully, it can be adaptive to the community because the artists are who participate. So if they're changing, then we can change with them. But not all programs are built that way. And so if the demographics in California are changing so rapidly, what about programs that have been running for 20 years? Like, how are we not being responsive? And what questions are we not asking from the community at large? And also, I think we need to redefine what participation means. Because I think we can't always expect people to go out of their homes and walk into our venues. I think we need to find ways to bring arts to the people and also to help them understand that they already are participating in the arts and how to nurture that.